straight away. The bans are flying through thick and fast.
Yeah, Morgana and Nidalee taken out super quick, and Hecarim for the top lane. Orianna once again. So we're just going to be waiting for those 5th and 6th bans. There's Gragas, a menace in the jungle right now, just stomping people, barrel stomping as well. The body slam doing so much, and Sejuani, basically the 2 top junglers being taken out straight away.
Yeah, you certainly look at it that way. Nidalee also a jungler being taken away, but it is actually Moya in the mid lane that's hit by that ban. So a couple of bans. I'm surprised that Sin, they took away the Orianna. That's a champion that Ryan Master has showed that he can play in the past. Is fairly comfortable. So taking that one off the board, just a lot of respect to the Wombo combo coming through from Fauna.
Yeah, it looks like they're hovering over Nautilus right now, and as we've seen as of late, Nautilus just dominating the support role. So it will be interesting to see what type of team comp they want to build around this Nautilus pick.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they're just going for something open. Nautilus, fantastic CC, great in pick situations, has initiation, has Peel and Kite now that his E's been changed to such a short cooldown. So I do agree, very strong support champion here. And guys, if you're just tuning in, Carlos is God. Not unfortunately playing in this game, has been swapped over to a new top laner, 4-4 not Naguya up there, plays a lot of Fizz, a lot of Aurelia. This guy a much more carry-orientated top laner. Of course, Carlos did kind of fill that situation, but they're just going for a new kind of feel up there.
Yeah, and as they let the timer time out, Nautilus is selected, so we're just going to be waiting to see what points and not Juves pick for their team. So what do you expect to come from Sin?
Yeah, so right now I'm expecting maybe something ambiguous. Thresh, a very strong pick. And of course, not Juves grabs his Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is extremely potent at the moment because everyone's going for these tanky late game junglers. And what that means is someone like Rek'Sai can get in there early game, do a lot of damage with the CC and damage provided in the kit, but then transitions very well to a split push / tank role in the late game.
Yeah, an excellent early game jungler, just provides a ton of pressure, those tunnels with a knock up, and on top of that, so much damage, a self-heal. She's basically got everything you need, and Zac being hovered over here. Haven't seen a Zac in quite some time.
Yeah, I don't think we have seen one in a while. I think Spooks pulled it out in the Oceanic Pro League, of course, to a very good effect. And with Sejuani gone, with Gragas gone, now with Rek'Sai being picked up, Zac is really the last guy that synergizes so well with all of the tanky items that comes through. What I'm surprised, though, is they're not looking at Amumu. Naya, of course, a fantastic Amumu player, has been known to pick it up even in the old meta, and now moving towards a meta that looks like it would suit Amumu, just not being considered.
Well, it's not locked in yet, and there we go. So they did pick Zac, and he's going to scale great with that extra health of the Cinderhulk, being able to get some safe clears, keep himself topped up from his passive, and Kalista also, so a hyper carry here for Team Fortnite.
Yeah, a hyper carry that really gets going early. So the thing about Kalista is she's like old blue Ezreal. She's a mobility hyper carry. Hops around fights, very hard to pin down. The Rent, not only does it do sick damage, but it has that really annoying slow on it. So if you're not the person getting killed, it's even harder to catch up to Kalista. And of course, resetting coming through there. The reason I like the pickup here of the Zac is because Naguya, we've already said he likes to play carry top laners. Zac Nautilus, that's already a very tanky frontline, so he's in no pressure to play a tank now.
A massive frontline, a lot of disruption, and then looking back on Sin, they've locked in the Shyvana and the Urgot. So will that be an Urgot mid, do you reckon, or maybe an ADC role?
Yeah, so normally you look at Urgot to shut down Kalista. Very good at doing that. You pretty much go to another lane, you get your level 4, get your tier, come back, and it's just a very easy lane to lie down there. Of course, with bringing in the Shyvana, going to be able to jungle for those first couple of levels extremely well. So I wouldn't be surprised right now if we saw Sin go towards a lane swap for at least the first 5 minutes of the game.
Well, it looks like Points has taken Smite on the top lane, so this will be a Smite top lane Shyvana. So he's going to be getting that nice level 2 early advantage. So probably, do you think he'll be going for a 2v1? Do you think either of these teams will win, depending on the ADC?
The thing about Shyvana is she can actually take 2-3 camps by herself extremely quickly. And being a jungler herself, the extra damage that comes through from burnout, the mobility that comes through there as well, you're able to power through the jungle. Rek'Sai Shyvana, that's a huge jungling pair. They'll be able to wreak havoc, especially if they invade onto Naya. So I would expect it to come through, but we'll have to see whether that is a call they make.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we have an Annie locked in as well. So could that be an Annie top? Or are we seeing the Nautilus top? Or maybe even a Zac top and a Nautilus jungle?
Yeah, so it looks like he's going towards the Nautilus top. You would expect that to be the pickup here. The reason that we don't see much Zac top is Zac is extremely item reliant for damage.
Yes,
so if you want him to be a purely tanky person, as we actually see Ryan Master locking in a Ziggs.
Yeah.
So that will be going up against Moya Xerath. We'll talk about the farm lane in the mid in a second, but if it is a Nautilus top lane, needs a lot of farm. But it actually looks like right now, Naguya's hovering over the Annie.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see because Annie makes such a formidable support with so much crowd control that's nearly impossible to dodge if she flashes in there and gets the Tibbers. Compared with the Kalista after a few stacks of her passive, the Ren will just cleave through them. So it's interesting to see Annie go top. She is taking that teleport, and I'm not sure what to expect from it.
Yeah, so we see Looper in the LPL played a lot of Annie top lane. Thought it was a reasonable, good matchup against Na when it first came out. So we'll see whether the same theory holds true here as he goes up against Point Shyvana. Annie won't be able to deal with the 2v1 as well because she's a very easy dive target early on in the game, very squishy. But the lane that's really doing it for me right now is Moya versus Ryan Master. They've gone Xerath versus Ziggs. So Ryan Master, instead of looking to match aggression, I guess, is just gone for a very farm-heavy lane.
Yeah, we've seen Zig picked a few times lately just to counter that aggression, like you said, but in this case, seeing Xerath, knowing exactly what he's about, that long-range artillery, poking from behind, getting those last hits from completely safe tower distance, Ziggs completely matches that. If his wave gets wiped out, he can chuck down the minefield, chuck down a Q, and the whole wave's gone.
Yeah, exactly right. So now we have to see whether it is just the tactic of matching wave clear with wave clear, or whether there is any aggression going to come in here. Of course, late game, they have a very tanky lineup coming through here with Ziggs for a lot of the damage coming through from Sin. You got to remember Urgot, he will fall off eventually.
Yeah,
Mid-game does a lot of damage with all the shred that comes through from his E, but eventually will fall away. So maybe they're just trying to get the game to a point where Ryan Master can start doing a lot of damage in these fights. 6-item Ziggs, pretty much uncontested in terms of damage. He's got 4 damage spells, generally picks up a late Lich Bane in the game as well. He's going to do absolute work.
Now, if we have a look at Sin's team, they've got Ziggs who can clear a wave from mid and top. All he has to do is chuck an ulti there. They have Rek'Sai, complete map presses with her ultimate, being able to jump anywhere that her clones are. But I'll cut myself right off there as we are jumping into the Rift. No, my bad.
We'll get on the Rift, guys, soon. Yeah, but I get what you're saying. The split push that can come through, the wave control. Their team fight really isn't there, but they do have a lot of control around the map to make sure that they're the ones that dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. That puts them in a very tough situation.
So, yeah, looking at the Annie with teleport is going to have to match that Shyvana. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can match the map presence out of Sin, because like I said earlier, they have just complete control. So it will be interesting to see how they go about that.
Yeah, but they do have some good engage on the other end. They can counter all of that split pushing with extremely hard engage. Zac, Annie, Nautilus, not to mention the follow-up that can come through from Xerath. We've already talked about his range, the annoyance of Kalista jumping around in these team fights. If they ever make a mistake, I agree, it is a fantastic tactic coming through from Sin, but one slip-up and you might see this game fall over to 4-0.
Not to mention, the Nautilus is just going to be riding on the back of Kalista. Once she hits that section, she's just going to bam, right into the middle of the fight, being able to get a full slow-off potentially. With the problem with Nautilus is if he doesn't hit that Q, he's not going to get in range to find someone to ult, find someone to snare. But they completely negate that by allowing Kalista to throw him straight into the team fight.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about Kalista. She gives a lot of, I guess, different options for initiate. You do pick people up, throw them in. It's why we see her paired a lot with the likes of Thresh, because Thresh, very similar, needs to get in range of the Flay generally, because hitting the Miracle Death Sentence, they happen, but they're not as, I guess, reliable as it is of being able to hit that Flay. So I definitely agree with you that Nautilus, Kalista, they're a very potent 2v2 lane, but it also gives the ability of having that for sure initiation.
Yeah, and we can't all be Mad Lives here and get every death sentence. But yeah, just looking at the team comps, who do you favor, do you think?
Coming into this game, I think that Sin have a more strategically sound comp. I think that their comp, if executed correctly, will probably win out in the late game just because of all the damage that Ziggs will bring, not to mention with how tanky the front line is. But when you look at team comps like this, you have to look at, are they going to be able to execute their game plan? If there's anything that 4-0 have shown us, that they can swing a game. The game that they were able to take off the Chiefs, they were down like 13,000 gold and 6 turrets. So I have every bit of faith, especially in Moya and Naya, to be able to start up these fights. And C&J has shown that he's a premier AD carry and can potentially farm himself up to the point where they won't have an answer for the Kalista in the league.
Yeah, it's definitely not fair to count them out, as we can see what they have done in the past. And so what do you think are the win conditions for both of these teams? Like, we've got the complete map control from Sin. They want to pressure all the lanes, keep you guys at your turrets. You hear the Rek'Sai ult, you don't know which lane it's going for. You finally get a push on the top. Ziggs ults it. What can Fortnite do to recover from that?
Yeah, so as I said, I think that we'll see that Sin, they'll try and initiate a lane swap. It's up to Fortnite to try and match that and get standard lanes. I think that is the first job there.
Yeah.
Once that goes through, they really need to make sure that they're using Annie's mid-game power to start up these fights. I'm looking for early distortion boots to come through from Naguya and really get in there, start up the team fights.
Yep, and so we're going to be jumping onto the Rift now? Yep, awesome. All right, so we got Fortnite versus Sin. Both teams just going to be walking to lane right now. Looks like everyone just branching off. Going to be getting those deep wards because, like you said, they want to get the 2v1 out.
Yeah, so they send Stealthix mid, and this is what we see generally when you are looking for a lane swap. They're going to try and get as deep as vision as they can, but you can see already Fortnite, they know what's up. They've warded every entrance to their jungle. They're not showing themselves at all, so it will be very difficult from here. This is just a guessing game now. They'll go top, probably, because that's what you do if you want to do it. But as you can see, it looks like it's been matched straight away.
But they're grouping as 5. They might want to get some deep wards in here, but it seems like after warding all your entrances, you kind of want to dictate the pace of the game. So they want to know what their opponents are doing. But just 5-man stacking in that bush just to avoid any sneaky antics from Sin Gaming.
Yeah, so what they're actually doing there, they've used all their ward totems, so they can't invade at all. So they stack as 5 at one of the entrances and make sure that if they are face checked into, they do have the advantage. And from there, they can just rotate themselves into the top lane. And as you can see, looks like Sin, they did go for the lane swap, but it's been scouted out by Fortnite and it's going to be matched.
Yeah, I'm sure they expected that because at the end of the day, they wanted the Urgot versus Kalista. So knowing that the most likely outcome for Fortnite is to do the lane swap, they're going to be swapping themselves.
Yeah, so I think that Urgot will eventually beat out Kalista, but he does have a hard time extremely early game. I'm talking like levels 1 to 4 before any items are being picked up. So we'll have to see exactly how it works out. As we see, just the jungle start coming through there. Naguya straight away. The bans are flying through thick and fast.
Yeah, Morgana and Nidalee taken out super quick and Hecarim for the top lane. Orianna once again. So we're just going to be waiting for those 5th and 6th bans. Zedzagragas, a menace in the jungle right now, just stomping people. Barrel stomping as well. The body slam doing so much, and Sejuani, basically the two top...
Being changed to such a short cooldown. So I do agree, very strong support champion here. And guys, if you're just tuning in, Carlos is God. Not unfortunately playing in this game, has been swapped over to a new top laner for Fortnite. Naguya up there, plays a lot of Fizz, a lot of Aurelia. This guy a much more carry-orientated top laner. Of course, Carlos did kind of fill that situation.
Top junglers being taken out straight away.
Yeah, you certainly look at it that way. Nidalee also a jungler being taken away, but it is actually Moya in the mid lane that's hit by that ban. So a couple of bans. I'm surprised that Sin, they took away the Orianna. That's a champion that Ryan Master has showed that he can play in the past. Is fairly comfortable. So taking that one off the board, just a lot of respect to the Wombo comp, but they're just going for a new kind of feel up there.
Yeah, and as they let the timer time out, Nautilus is selected, so we're just going to be waiting to see what points and not Juves pick for their team. So what do you expect to come from Sin?
Yeah, so right now I'm expecting maybe something ambiguous. Thresh, a very strong pick. And of course, not Juves grabs his Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is extremely potent at the Wombo coming through from Fortnite.
And it looks like they're hovering over Nautilus right now. And as we've seen as of late, Nautilus just dominating the support role. So it will be interesting to see what type of team comp they want to build around this Nautilus pick.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they're just going for something open. Nautilus, fantastic CC, great in pick situations, has initiation, has peel and kite now that he's eased